Hello and welcome to another episode of Only Time Can Tell. I'm Ken, your host. I'm sitting alongside with Stanley Johnson.
Hello.
Thank you for
How are you, Ken?
Stanley Johnson.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Stanley Johnson, why don't you give the people in your audience a little information on who Stanley Johnson is and what does Stanley Johnson do?
Located on 102nd Street between 2nd and 1st Avenue. I've been the Resident Association president for, I want to say, the last 6 years.
Okay.
And that's about it.
So how does one go about being the president of the Resident Association?
So when I first moved here, I want to say that was 2008. They had a flyer posted in the building about a tenant association meeting. So I went downstairs because, like I said, I just moved here, so I was wanting to know what was like going on around here and who was like the movers and the shakers, basically. So when I got to the meeting actually was for them to start to reform a tenant association. They didn't have a tenant association board, a resident association board. So I asked a couple of questions, and it was just a bunch of tenants there, but they were primarily elderly women.
Right.
And so they had asked me, do I know anything about the tenant association? So I've never been on a tenant association before, a resident association before, but I do know about service.
Okay.
So that's what I said. So then we had another meeting, and at both of these meetings, the people from NYCHA, the resident council from NYCHA had came because they had said that there was no representation for Metro North, and they wanted to know if that's something that we wanted, because they were not having family days, they were not getting the things that they needed, because they didn't have a voice.
Okay.
So at the next meeting, they were throwing names in the arena for people to take these various positions, and somebody threw my name up and said, "But I want to be president." So no one else stood up. So I said, okay, I'll just try just to see how it is.
Right.
And that's how I became the president.
Okay. So with being the president, exactly what does that entail, you doing or whatever?
So being a resident association president for Metro North Plaza is my duty to be a liaison between the tenants and the management. And also, if there's any other outside entities that I need to address or ask questions to try to get things from, like our district leader or our district council or even the mayor or even the governor or anybody else that's directly working for NYCHA, that if there's any kind of disparities or any issues that need to be addressed here at NYCHA, I could be that vehicle or that voice to go and have a conversation with them to speak for the residents of Metro North. So how this works is we have our monthly tenant association meetings. At the tenant association meeting, we don't bring individual issues there at the meeting. Some people try, but that's not how I got it set up. I want to bring a collective or collaborative issue that we have here in Metro North Plaza. And then I go and meet with the management. And the management will say, well, you know what, you guys can do this or you guys can't do that. Or I'll see if I can allow you guys to do this, or you guys definitely can't do that. So something as simple as the locks on the door.
Okay.
We don't have any locks on all three other buildings here. That's 345, that's 307, that's 310. The front door locks are broken. So I've been in talks with them about getting the locks repaired, but every time they repair them, people break them.
Right.
So now they're telling me that it's not enough money in the budget, which doesn't make any sense because that's what the budget is for.
Right.
It's for things like that. So, but we're also in the process of a conversion, and we could talk about that a little later, but that's basically the role of what Resident Association is.
So when you have your tenant association meetings, do you usually have a large turnout, small turnout, mediocre turnout?
Unfortunately, I don't have a large turnout. I wish that I did. And even when there's a crisis going on in this development, people don't come out to find out what's going on. So that's one of my biggest gripes that I have.
Right.
That people are not invested in where they live,
Right.
or as much invested as I think that they should be,
Right.
So yeah, we don't have, and that's one of the reasons why we don't get a lot of things that we could get, because when they look at the tenant association body, it's not a real big body of people.
So let that be a message to you guys. If you want to see change, you got to get involved. You know, this is what people like Stanley are here for, to help you guys out. Get involved, make changes to your community, take ownership in your community. So yeah, very valid, very valid. So since you became the president, have you noticed any improvements in the block or in Metro North once you came aboard?
The improvements are, I think they're minute. They're not like major improvements. We are in the middle of now of a conversion. And the conversion is the new leader of NYCHA. That's his answer to the dilapidation and the degradation of housing. So what he's planning on doing is that he's planning on getting funding from the federal government to fix the leaks, the mold in NYCHA. They have this whole big blueprint that they are using as a guide to get us to to have better living conditions. But as far as major changes here at Metro North, no.
Okay. All right, yeah, because I was wondering, especially with, you know, I guess being surrounded by like all these luxury condos that's going up, you know, I'm wondering if that's one of those things where the management decided to make changes to try to basically, you know, kind of stay up to par with what's going on around, you know?
I think that the chairperson of NYCHA, his name is Russ. Mr. Russ, and I think his answer to all of the NYCHA complexes in New York City is this thing called a RAT program. And what the RAT program is a conversion from Section 9, which is NYCHA, to Section 8, which is a federal funded program. Right. So everyone that lives in NYCHA under the RAT program will no longer be under Section 9, they will be under Section 8. The Section 8, because there's different levels of Section 8 or maybe different programs inside of the Section 8 program. This particular Section 8 will not be attached to the person, it will be attached to the apartment. Okay. So it's not like some people have Section 8 and they can move from city to city or state to state. Right. This isn't that kind of Section 8. Oh, okay. The Section 8 that's going to be for NYCHA's or for the RAD program is going to be a Section 8 that's attached to your apartment. So if you move out of that apartment, you do not have Section 8 under the RAD program. It doesn't transfer with you, but the person moving into that unit will get it. Now, if you stay in your apartment, once the conversion happens, and this conversion is supposed to be happening in 2022. Okay. And by 2023, you can apply for Section 8, and if you qualify for it, then you can get the Section 8 that will allow you to move from state to state. But that's all dependent on where we at as far as the government goes, because as far as I know now, the Section 8 program is closed. It's like no movement on it, no.
Oh, wow. Could you tell us about any programs that you've started or looking to start as a result of being president?
I haven't started any programs because that would take like some time, and I'm one of the tenant association presidents that has a full-time job. Okay. So when I go to work from 9 to 5, and then sometimes I have to run because I go to monthly meetings with other resident association presidents, and I also sit on the East Side Democratic Club. So I'm have my hat in a couple of arenas, but all of this is to make sure that Metro North doesn't go by the wayside, and Metro North has some representation. Right. So but I haven't started any programs yet. Okay. I have some ideas in mind, and I will be talking to a couple of residents about getting those programs off the ground.
Right, which that was actually my next question. What's next on your agenda? But you said that that's something that you plan on
Yeah, so all right, I could let you in on one of them. Once the conversion happens, the basketball court that we have here, we're going to keep that basketball court.
Okay.
Yeah, so because the basketball is a multi-generational sport that different people could play, and I also think that it's important to have basketball here because I know some people think that it's a sport that men actually play, which is kind of not a bad thing, but it's a sport that fathers can play with their sons or uncles can play with their nephews because we need more of that in our neighborhood. We need more men to kind of step up and teach the younger men like how to be men or how to be responsible men. And if you can start on a basketball court, that's a good place to start. So, but I wanted to start having like basketball tournaments. With the surrounding projects, if we could, without the violence. I've also been talking to PSA 5. Those are the police that are assigned to our development. And I think majority of them are Hispanic.
Okay.
And so we were talking about getting baseball teams together. So the dads and the sons could come and play baseball, and we was going to use the, RBI across the street.
Right, yeah.
We were going to ask them if we can use that field, whatever. Because as part of my role is to actually work with PSA 5 as well, the community police, and try to forge community policing again.
Right.
And see how that works. I mean, they come to our meetings every month, but I'm one of the voices that say that community policing isn't working.
Okay.
So we're trying to build that
Right.
up.
What inspired you to help your community?
Okay. So when I've always been around people in service, and it's always been instilled in me as a child that being in service is important. So my dad was in the Army. My uncle was in the Air Force. And like a typical African American family, I lived in a multi-generational household where my grandmother was a matriarch. My mom, my dad, and my sister, we lived there. My uncle lived there, my aunt lived there. So my grandmother was a part of the Eastern Stars.
Yeah.
She also sat on the cadet corps of Central Harlem as a treasurer. So I always used to go to the meetings with her. Like she would lug me and my sister around to different meetings. I was also taught at a very young age the importance of voting and how important that was. So service has always been something that was instilled in me that I know that is of importance. And so that's how I got here.
So,
Yes.
who would you say you worked with in the past? Any political leaders or any people prominent, I guess, within the community that might have helped you or inspired you?
The first person that comes to mind is the council speaker. Her name is Diana Ayala. I just was with her the other day. Actually, last weekend, it was a couple of elected officials over here. It was Chuck Schumer. Who else was here? Not Richie Torres was supposed to come, but he didn't come. Mr. Espaillat was here.
Okay.
And Diana Ayala. It was who else? It was another official. We were all over in Washington because we are trying to get there is $80 billion, I think, or no, $80 million that's allotted to NYCHA from President Biden. But that $80 million is is for NYCHA throughout the whole United States.
Right.
So we were up there to lift our voice to tell them that we actually need $40 million just for New York City alone.
Wow.
So the $80 million that you're going to give to us, we appreciate it, but we want you to increase that to $40 million for New York City. So we were there and we were talking about that, and we had banners, we had flyers. So, but to answer your question, I would say in this instance, in this season, is Diana Ayala.
Okay. Okay. How did COVID-19 affect your community? And do you know if you guys got any assistance or?
So COVID-19 affected my community because of the disparages and because of the lack of education here in our community. And I say the lack of education, not scholastically. I mean something as simple as I work as a public health advisor at Bellevue Hospital, and I have the hardest time with my African American and Hispanic male clients about adhering to their medications and going to the doctor and just basic stuff like going to get your eyes checked and going to the dentist. And then the prostate exams is definitely the hardest thing because of all of the stigma that's associated with it. So with that being said, Black and brown people worldwide were affected because of that lack of education, because we don't go to the doctor as regularly as we should, and especially African American and Hispanic men. And that's why they were dying in droves. So my community, which is East Harlem, was affected tremendously by it. Now, there's an issue that I have with management that I'm going to share on camera right now. I have not heard from management since the onset of COVID-19. I do not know how many of my residents passed away from it. I don't know, I didn't get any support from them. What I did get support with, I got support from the borough president, Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer. I got support from Diana Ayala. I was actually able to give food to my residents, especially to my seniors that couldn't come out and couldn't go to the store. So we made sure that we knocked on doors and I delivered food to them, me and my tenant association board. Right. So that's how we did our part.
All right. Well, thank you. We appreciate all
that
you do.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I just want to say to the tenants of Metro North Plaza that this is a new year and a new day, and COVID was really rough, and we are now facing a conversion that's new to all of us. And if we don't band together and stick together and actually tell the forces that be what we want here in Metro North, what we want our playground to look like, what we want our apartments to look like, then they're going to do like what they've been doing in the past, whatever they want. So I just encourage everyone here that if you get any kind of letters and you get any kind of phone calls asking you questions about the conversion, pay attention, get involved, because it's about you right now, but it's also about your legacy. You're going to be leaving your apartment to your children, to your grandchildren. So what kind of place do you want them to live in? And with that, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to be your president for the last 6 years. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So once again, this was Only Time Can Tell. I'm Ken, your host, Stanley Johnson. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that you get pop-ups every time that there's new videos. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Thank you. And where can the public reach you? Where can they find you on social media?
Reach me on social media. So right now, the Metro North Tenant Association or Metro North page isn't up now because we've been down for a year now since COVID. But when it gets back up and running again, because there's some things on there that we're going to be posting and updating you guys on, I will let your producer and what that is, so you guys can add it to this. You can put it on this video.
Yeah, well,
for
we
us.
can put it in the
link.
link.
You can put it in the link later. All right, I appreciate that. So but for right now, I don't want to really give out my cell number.
Okay, yeah, you don't have to, right.
Right.
But yeah, we'll put the information down in the link or whatever if you needed to reach out to Stanley with any questions or concerns. So once again, this has been Ken from Only Time Can Tell. I appreciate your time. Like I said, don't forget to like, subscribe, tell a friend, and don't forget to join us again.
I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you will always get an alert when a new video drops.